The RX-78 GTO kit I recently built has this long seam line down the Bazooka, which is the perfect place to demonstrate some seam line removal techniques. It's a perfect example of utilizing a bit of creative solution. As you can see, there are pegs on this Bazooka that lock into the base, so you can't just glue these two parts together. You're going to run into issues like this a lot, especially on older kits, since back then Bandai wasn't exactly too mindful with their seam line locations. What we could do is cut open this bottom part by the panel line, install it onto the base, and have the Bazooka just slide in. You can cut a part open by scoring it with a chisel a couple of times to deepen the groove, then use a saw blade. I'm using this MadWorks etched blade here to saw the part open. That way you get a nice clean, even cut. Afterwards, you can sand this cut surface so that it's flat and install it onto the base. There's this other peg here that also interferes with the barrel sliding in, so we'll just get rid of this by scraping it off, and as you can see, now this Bazooka barrel just slides in. Now we can get to removing the seam line on the barrel. First, open up the part ever so slightly so that there's a narrow opening down the middle. I like using plastic cement to do this. Here I have 2 bottles from Mr. Hobby. The blue cap version dries very fast, so it's good for seam line removal purposes. And the yellow cap dries a lot slower, so I mainly use it to actually glue parts together. So here we'll get some of the blue cap cement with the included brush within the cap and drop it into the opening here. If the opening is narrow enough, the liquid cement should flow through the entire part. After you're sure that you got the cement across the part, you can squeeze it shut till you see blobs of cement flowing out onto the surface, making sure that you got a fully cemented surface to sand down. You might need to hit it with a few more drops of cement here and there. If you don't see any blobs of cement, you can always brush the surface again with some cement. You need to wait a few hours for this to dry, ideally overnight, and sand it down. I'm using the Infinity sanding sponges to make sure that I get a nice round surface. You also want to sand down all the other sides of the barrel so that the entire thing is even. After sanding, you want to deepen the surface details a few times with a chisel, since a lot of the details get lost during sanding. Now, as a bit of a bonus, we get this large dimple on the handle. This is going to look awful on the final product, and the dimple is a little too deep to fix by only sanding. In this case, I like to use a little bit of black super glue. Mine's from MadWorks. It's black so you can see the result very clearly versus the regular clear version. I'll just get a little bit of this with a stick and apply it onto the part. This stuff dries pretty fast. In about an hour or so, you can get to sanding. This scope here is entirely hollow in the back, so we'll fill it with a bit of epoxy putty. Mine is from Infinity. This stuff comes in 2 parts. Each part is soft on its own so that it's malleable, but when you mix the 2 together, it hardens in about half an hour. So I'll just get a little bit of each, mix them together, make sure the colors blend in together so that it's fully combined, and stuff it into the scope. If you want to save a little bit of putty, you can always put in a little bit of runners or whatnot along to fill in the space. So here I have this entire Bazooka primed, and you want to check the part after priming to see if there's still any seam lines or other imperfections. In this case, as you can see, my seam lines are looking pretty good top and bottom. The seam lines on this thruster thing was kind of difficult to sand, but I think I did pretty okay. This handle took a little while. I had to prime it and fill it again a couple of times to get it completely smooth, which is an issue that you're going to be seeing a lot with the seam line removals and recess filling. If imperfections keep showing up after priming, just put a little bit more super glue on and sand it down again. I wanted to touch on painting parts without a clamping spot, like this tip with the Bazooka barrel here. The entirety of the exterior surface needs to be painted. You can easily deal with this by using a bit of super glue on a stick and glue it onto the inside of this part. Super glue snaps pretty easily and pretty cleanly, so after painting, you can just snap this part off the stick. In any case, now you're able to paint the entire Bazooka with all the seam lines removed easily. It might seem like a lot of work, but this is the thing that's going to take you from that straight building to the next level. Not to mention that now you've wasted a lot of time on a simple kit. You're gonna buy less kits, so it's kind of a money saver. Anyways, I'm out. Let me know what you want to see next. Peace.